The Range Rover Evoque first appeared at Geneva 2011 in production form, and from the moment it first appeared, customers just went nuts for it. Land Rover were telling me they've now sold 50,000, we're in February 2012, and they have an order bank of 60,000 still to build, and that's an extraordinary success story for a brand new model. Why is it that it's been such a success? Well, one of the things obviously is design, but to just find out more, I've been living with this one for a while now, and I thought I'd give you a tour around just to see what makes this such a hit with customers. First off, it's design. There's no doubt about it. It's an extremely smart design, and it's one of those unusual cars that we saw in concept form. We thought, no, they'll never build it, but they did. And this particular model is known as the Coupe. Really low line at the back, tiny window area, a very, very distinctive design, and nothing like anything that Range Rover had ever done before. To get an idea of what makes it so special, I've been living with this one, which is the SI4 Coupe, which is the petrol 240 horsepower, turbocharged 2-litre engine, 6-speed automatic, dynamic pack. God, it takes a bit of saying. But it's the so-called the most sporty one in the range, unless I'm hearing from the engineers the 2-wheel drive 2-litre petrol manual is pretty special as well. But I just sense no one's actually going to buy that one. Is it sporty? Well, it seems to be. I mean, on the specs, it's 135 miles an hour and 7.1 to 60. It's pretty quick for a car like this, and it drives pretty well, as we'll find out in a moment. But I think this car just sells on its design, which is spectacular. The coupe version, I mean, it's really cut down at the back. You look at that window area at the back and this tiny little window at the back. It's very unlike what I've lived with a Range Rover for, well, many years. I've had this current one for about 10 years, since it first came out in 2002. And it's nothing like this. This is a brand new, fresh design. One thing that surprises me, I've looked around this car, try and find a badge that says Evoque. All it tells you everywhere, it's a Range Rover. It's a Range Rover in there, when you get inside, oh, it's a Range Rover. It's a Range Rover. It's a Range Rover, yes? Range Rover. In all, I've counted 22 badges saying I'm a Range Rover. One saying Evoque, just around the back here. I do find that a bit peculiar. I've looked right around my Range Rover, and that only tells me 4 times that it's a Range Rover. This one, 22 badges saying I'm a Range Rover. Well, I'll let you into a secret. This isn't a Range Rover. It's something very, very different. I have to say, it's a really smart cabin. Superb quality. It's also got the dynamic pack, which we'll see outside had those bumpers, and inside it have these sort of slightly strange in a car like this, sports seats with full harness holes and things like that. Can't see that getting used very often, but yeah, overall a very good design. One thing that really bugs me on this car, if you want to get in the back, tip the seat up like that, and that's it. You can just about squeeze in. Oh dear, but why can't they make the yeah, why can't they make the seat sort of move forward to give you a little bit more effort? Once in, I'm really surprised at the amount of space, and there's a spectacular feature if you go for the Lutz pack, and that's a panoramic roof, which makes all the difference in here. I think it'd be pretty claustrophobic in here if it wasn't for that. Other nice practical features are electric boot, which you get with the Lutz pack, and inside another triumph for packaging. A pretty good boot, partly achieved because there's absolutely no spare tyre. Although I see on the option list you can actually have spend £120 and have a sort of space saver spare, which I would advise you to. Immediately, it's a different feel to any other Land Rover product. just feels sort of light and sort of this revvy engine and light steering and pointy. It's utterly different to any other Range Rover product. There's two versions, two engines you can choose from. Diesel 2.2 litre in various states of tune, ranging from about 150 horse to 190, or this car's engine, a 2 litre petrol in various states of tune, and this is the top one, 240 horsepower, which is quite a lot for a 2 litre car engine, and about 253 foot-pounds of torque. Red line closing in on 7,000 RPM in a Land Rover. Very strange, but it does suit this car. I know everybody will probably go for the diesel, but there's a significant weight saving on the nose with the petrol engine over the diesel, so it does drive quite a lot better. Also on this car I've got adaptive dynamics, which is Land Rover speak for the terrain response, and this extra button over that side which just stiffens up the dampers slightly. They're these very special dampers, slightly geeky, apologies, but controlled by magnetic forces that can vary the damping force within 1,000th of a second, and they work really well. One of the most impressive things is the way they actually control roll. Range Rover Sport has a active anti-roll system on it, and it's quite expensive, quite heavy. It's the only car in the range with it. With this car, they've actually tried to do it within the damping itself, and I think it works superbly well. You also, when you press it, you get spectacular dash display because it all turns red and aggressive. I'll go to sport as well, I'll go to full noise, and off we go. But yeah, this is where the Evoque changes. These sort of cars don't normally drive like this, but this one really does like to get thrown about. Someone's been driving like this during development, and it's very well suited to it. I don't like the bobbiness, so I'm just going to take it out of that slightly stiff ride and keep it in sport. But yeah, in this class, this small SUV class, driving dynamics aren't known to be the best, but in the Evoque, yeah, Range Rover might be onto something. So I've lived with this car for a while, and it's a very easy cruiser. I've been up and down the motorway. I've done about 500-600 miles in it now, and it's one of those cars that is a struggle to keep at 80. Should I say 70? Sorry, I slip of the tongue. It's one of those that just sort of gains speed, and it's very relaxed. Actually, MPG is not its star turn. I've averaged 24 out of this, but then when I lived with the diesel, that wasn't particularly economical either. I struggled into the low 30s with it. It's not one of those cars you're suddenly going to get 50 to the gallon. So I'm tempted by this petrol if I was choosing between the two, just because of this dynamic feel of this car. So what are some of the things I don't like about this car? Well, I have to mention price. This car is $39,995 on the road in Coupe SI4 form. That's sort of okay, but then you add the options on, and the first one you add the Lux pack that adds the sort of keyless go and premium sound system and the panoramic roof. Well, there's $4,500 gone. And then it's got the dynamic option on this car, which means these rear seats and the different sort of finish underneath the sort of rear diffuser and the exhaust look at the back, and at the front the extra aluminium. There's another $3,000, so we're actually travelling in a £47,000 car. That's quite a lot in this sector. So it's a definite premium you're paying for this design. And the other thing, it keeps telling me it's a Range Rover. It's nothing like a Range Rover. I haven't got anything like the visibility out. I'm looking out of a little tiny pillar box screen at the back, and when I look out the front, the big difference between this and a Range Rover is you can place a Range Rover because you can see the four corners of the car. Look out of the Evoque screen and I just see road. I can't see the bonnet at all. So it's lost that unique character of the Range Rover. But it drives completely differently and it's fresh and it's new. So they shouldn't get hung up that it's not a Range Rover. I don't know why they've used the Range Rover term 22 times in this car, because it's nothing like a Range Rover. It's something brand new. It's like when BMW brought the Mini out, the revised Mini. Suddenly made every other sort of hot hatch in that character look completely old-fashioned, and that's what the Evoque does. This is a brand new car for this sector. It's a brilliant design and it drives so well as well for this sector. We've got to remember it's not going to win any hot hatch group tests, but oh, they're so dull, the cars it's competing with. We've got an Audi Q3 in the office, and oh, I'd just rather fill in my tax form than drive that thing. And I think VW make one as well, but I can't even remember the name of it. It's a dull sector brought to life by the Evoque, and that's why they've sold 50,000 and they've got 60,000 order back. That's why it's an absolute breath of fresh air in this sector.